Hello and welcome everyone to the channel. My name is Amos from Symmetry Acoustics. In today's video, I want to talk about acoustic foam based on the profile or the shape of the face, which is very confusing. I get a lot of questions every now and then. People ask, why do they cut them like that? Is that important? Is it for aesthetics, or is there anything to do with performance that is related to the cuttings? Now, with me here, I have different profile of acoustic foams, which are very common. I only have three of them. I mean, three profiles here, very common ones. I'll start with the pyramid one because this is very common also. The pyramid name comes from how it looks. They look like pyramids, so it's something that is very straightforward. Pyramid acoustic foam, because of how it looks. They look like pyramid, the protrusions. And then we have this one is called the matrix profile, or some other manufacturers will call it the mushroom profile. And then eventually we have the wedge profile, which is also very common. This is called wedge profile because of how it looks. All of them, the name is based on how they look. So let's get back to the history of how these acoustic foam came to be the way they look like, because a lot of them are made this way. So why do they cut them into these shapes? That is the question I get a lot. Now, the original idea was to increase surface area for sound absorption, because if you look at this foam, it has a flat surface at the back, and then it has the profiled face in the front. So if you calculate the surface area at the back and vis-a-vis the surface area in the front, you realize that the surface area here is slightly higher, and that increases the surface area also for sound absorption. So when you increase the surface area for sound absorption of this panel here, you also increase the level of sound absorption. So there's a difference between level and rate of sound absorption, which I'm going to explain in just a few minutes. Now, if you look at them all the way from this one here, these are the highest surface area of sound absorption. So it means it has slightly higher level of sound absorption compared to this one here, followed by this one. This is the least level of sound absorption. So let us not confuse level with the rate. Now let's explain what rate of sound absorption means. Now, while level of sound absorption means how much you get per square foot, absorption you get per square foot or per square meter, the rate of sound absorption means how much absorption this panel can be able to offer across the frequency spectrum. So we want as much absorption below 1 kilohertz as possible. So if you have this foam here with a lot of these dips, it has a lot of cuttings out of it. You reduce the mass of this foam. By reducing the mass of this foam, you reduce also the rate at which it will absorb frequencies down the frequency spectrum. So you realize there's this foam in most cases has noise reduction coefficient of around 50 or 0.5, which means it only absorbs 0.5 across the frequency, and it normally works from around 800 hertz, 1 kilohertz and above, followed by this one. So if you compare this one here with this one doesn't have as much dips as this one. So a lot of foam has been cut out of this one compared to this one here. So while this one has so much surface area for sound absorption, it has lower rate of sound absorption because of the mass. The mass is reduced. This one, on the other hand, might have slightly higher a higher rate of sound absorption, because if you compare, the cutting on this one is more than the cutting on this one. So that is the concept. So it means that as we go down, if you reach into this matrix, you realize this one has higher absorption because it has less foam out of it. It has less dips and more mass. So you get this one has higher sound absorption. And then this is just another version of this. So that's how we need to look at these foams. Recently, there are a lot of companies who make them as flat as this. Now, they've formulated them in a way that they have very high sound absorption, so that if you have high sound absorption, which means you have high rate of sound absorption, you can always control the level of sound absorption by increasing the number of panels you need to be able to cover a specific area. Now, let me just get back a little. This one has high level of sound absorption. It means you need less of them to be able to hear difference in a room that you install them in, but they will not absorb lower frequencies from 1 kilohertz downwards. They will absorb less of that. This one, on the other hand, it doesn't have as much surface area, but it will absorb a lot of frequencies, probably below 500 hertz, which is what we want. We want more frequency absorption below 500 downwards, if possible. So if you're going to choose acoustic foam, take into account are you buying it because of height? Because a lot of guys buy this thing because based on how they look. Somebody will tell you, I need a pyramid acoustic form. If you don't have pyramid acoustic form, I don't want anything else. So that means this person is buying this thing for aesthetics, which if you are a professional and you're doing audio work for professionals, you should not look you should look into performance more than the way it looks like. Or if your budget is good, if you're looking for a pyramid acoustic form, then let me pick this one up here. This is the big brother of this one here. Very thick, very high sound absorption. So if you have to go pyramid, go with this kind of form. This has very high sound absorption, as much as most manufacturers don't really manufacture it, because the kind of cost of the cost of maybe manufacturing it is slightly higher. If you insist on working with the pyramid acoustic form, do ensure that it is thick, 4 inches and above. So this 4 inches pyramid acoustic form, you can see it's much larger than these other small one. Now that is the main reason why these form are cut like that. So another reason why we get this kind of cutting, especially this kind of wedgie and pyramid ones, is logistics when it comes to freight charges. You realize that as much as also a lot of these ones, they get vacuum sealed when they're transported, so they are like squeezed. Some companies do not ship them or transport them in vacuum kind of environment. They just leave them like this, because now it's easy to work with. You don't need to put them on water and wait days for them to restretch again. So it's easy to transport these, because per every 2 inch you get 2 form, unlike these other one, these flat ones. Per every 2 inch you just get 1 form. So if you have to transport these ones, you'll spend a lot more money on transporting this one, because of the kind of space they take compared to this other one. So those are the kind of those are the reasons why these things are cut in that manner. You increase surface area for sound absorption. The problem is that is you reduce the mass and also reduce the level of sound absorption. The good thing also is that if you increase the rate of sound absorption, you can always compensate by adding more. But the problem with this is that when the rate of sound absorption is low, there's no way around it. You have to replace it with something different with high level of sound absorption. You cannot increase the rate of sound absorption by doing anything. The rate you can the level you can increase, the rate you cannot increase. So thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe if you like the content.